So you want some quick tips on how to improve on PlayStation Studios' newest FPS hero shooter called Concord. Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to talk about Concord, and underneath you're going to see some gameplay of me spending my first 5 hours in the game and some quick tips on how to improve. We're going to get some guides coming up probably a little bit later. I don't know how much I'll play this game and focus on the channel, but it is something that you could expect at least a little bit of in the early stages of testing. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, stay subscribed, leave a like on this video, and we'll do it. But this is really the start of that new player survival guide. So let's get into the tips on how you can improve when you just jump into the game so that you can have an easier first 5-10 hours in it than I had. So the first tip I want to mention is that this game has introduced a new guarantee in life: death, taxes, and asymmetry. Oh my goodness. This game prides itself on the fact that these characters are different from each other. And I don't just mean different in terms of their character design. I mean the actual health that they have, the weapons they have, even at the basic level of how many dodges they have and how many jumps they have. These are all different for every single character in this game, and it can be very overwhelming and jarring if you think that you're just losing because you're not good enough. Most of the time, it is not the character, it is not you, it is the character matchup that is the issue. And so that's the asymmetrical part that you need to be aware of jumping into this, that most shooters like this don't have at such an extreme degree. I mean, I love it because, I've played a lot of hero shooters, but if you're not used to going into a 1v1 and not being completely either overwhelming to your opponent or overwhelmed by your opponent, it's going to take some getting used to. So my best suggestion here is just being aware that some fights are simply not going to go your way because that character has a shotgun and is in your face and has way too much health, like Star Child. Or you're dealing with a ranged sniper who is just not going to give you any room to push on them unless you do it with multiple teammates. There are a lot of things that, I kind of went and said, oh wow, I just can't do that again, because my character is not able to withstand the fire of 2-3 enemies at the same time, and they're grouped in the back. So I have to make an adjustment to how I play. In many ways, I think this is kind of the fun of Concord, but it's something that is super poignant to learning this game, learning your matchups, learning that there are matchups, and trying to take advantage of them specifically. Secondly, this is more of a team game than you might think. And so my second quick tip is to use the team to individually succeed here. And a lot of people think of it in two different ways. I'm either going to be the individual that allows my team to succeed, or I'm going to allow my team to give me individual opportunities to succeed. And I think that's the way that Concord feels on first impression. It's not one of those games where you can easily send one player into the back line and have them come out unscathed. Most of the time they will die. Movement is there in this game, but it's a little bit more limited than some of your traditional hero shooters, where there are characters who can blink in and immediately blink out huge distances. Those characters are few and far between in this mode, and a lot of the movement, while it is decently paced, is not too fast. So if you get caught around a corner and you square up with an enemy, you're probably going to have to fight them, and that means that you're committed to that. Maybe you can get a slide away. If you're Ted, who has 2 dodges and 2 jumps, you're going to be more mobile and able to take more risks. But certain characters who do not have those levers of safety to pull, they're going to be really, really exposed. So working with your team and treating this as a 5v5 game truly, and then looking for those individual plays, is going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to save you a lot of headaches as well. And these are my first impressions, but even Trophy Hunt felt very team oriented. I felt like we weren't really getting anything done unless we took a 4 or 5 person fight, and then we were able to be successful. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of you may just jump into a new game, try to test the might of your character, but the true strength of characters is going to come out, and the true strength of this game is going to be in team play. And that leads me to my third tip, which is that this is a game that incentivizes being a jack of all trades versus a master of one. I know many of you are actually excited about that, because if you're like me, you're actually appreciative because you're not necessarily the best at any character. But if you value kind of being able to learn multiple characters and bring value to your team as a result of that, this is actually a game that incentivizes that heavily, especially in their mode Cargo Run or Clash Point under their Rivalry playlist. Now, this is different than the Brawl playlist, which has the gameplay you'd been seeing earlier on, which is basically it's kind of TDM, but it's basically you get a kill and then you pick up this trophy they leave behind. And you can also kind of pick up your teammate's trophy so the enemy team can't get that and stop them from securing a kill all the way up to 30. In Cargo Run, you basically plant cargo in a zone and defend it from rivals. Very similar to Valorant or CSGO, if you're familiar with those tactical type shooters. And the interesting part about it is the way that they appreciate your diversity is they do not allow you to play a character that you've won a round with, and you have to win at least 4 rounds. So that means you win a round with your best character. Okay, cool. Next round, you've got to fight with someone new. You cannot select it. People on your team can choose that character, but the second they win a round with them, then they can't select it either. So it forces you to have 4 different round wins on at least 4 different characters. This is wildly different than most of the games that I experienced where, even Apex, one-trick wraiths existed for 5 years maybe? I mean, 3 years at least before maybe Horizon came around or a suitable change-up, and those players were amazing players at the game. And so at the end of the day, this is new. This is different. It actually excites me a lot as a player, and for those who have been wanting something that, challenges you, but also can, I don't know, instead of being the best, can also reward you for being pretty good at a lot of things, well, this is the game for you. And my 4th tip, it comes in line with that. And I think it's just learning your character's win condition. I don't talk about this one enough. And a lot of the games that I cover now are 4 or 5 years old. So there's not as many newer players coming in and wanting to know these things, but it's still a really important point. Whenever you figure out a character is interesting to you, you need to learn what makes that character win. In any scenario, what is the scenario that you want to create for yourself? And I think when you look at the gameplay here of Starchild, I'll use him as an example. Starchild is a character that has a kit with an ability called Diamond Skin. Now, Starchild can dash for a very long period of time. Starchild can also do a huge slam on the ground, which is AoE damage and a bit of a knock-up. Starchild also has a shotgun, so obviously works up close, early range, and has a dash. But the key thing is the diamond skin. And that's because essentially when he has his diamond skin on, he is invulnerable. Essentially no damage can really come to him during the time he's got the passive diamond skin. And so why is that important? Because every ability he uses, he gets diamond skin. Every slam, every dash, he is in diamond skin. Every dodge, he is in diamond skin. And so that means if you're playing aggressive, you need to try to create situations where people are constantly getting baited into shooting you while you have your diamond skin up. And the best part about it is if you get a kill, you reset all of your abilities to go back into either dashing or slamming with your diamond skin yet again. So learning that win condition helped me because I realized, okay, I have to get into the back line. I have to bait people out. I need to be dodging mid-fight all the time. I need to dash bait people to get out of fights, not just necessarily get into it, because I'll be able to be such a distraction, do so much damage, and then get away with my life, which will help my team finish off the kills and win that fight. When you learn your character's win condition, and there's just so many here, you are going to be so much better overall, and you're going to be doing the things that actually move the dial for your team. In some ways, you could call it a combo. In some ways, you can call it like your go-to move. In some ways, you can just, whatever it is. But it's always difficult to do when a game is starting, and you don't really know all the intricacies of a character. So when you're learning, try to figure it out. Okay, what's the thing that this kit is telling me, is kind of teasing me, if I do, I will be very successful with, and then trying to create as many situations to be successful as possible. Even if I know that, it doesn't matter if I stay in the back line and don't fight anybody as Starchild. So not only do you need to know the win condition, you then have to go out and put yourself in that situation. All right, heading into my final tip, I just want to give a thank you for if you've watched this far, and if you have, you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. Hopefully this is something that can get to people who want to learn Concord and who want a resource for it, and allow them to have YouTube, push it to their feed so that they can be successful with it, right? So thank you so much for watching, and let's get into the final tip, right? So I think this is a game that is going to be what it's going to be for many people. It's not got to be, though, the end-all be-all for everyone. And, while I think that there are some interesting components to this game, it is a hero shooter. It is an FPS. It's very similar to Overwatch and really more so similar to Destiny 2 and maybe more of a time to kill like COD. So it's a very interesting game that's like, it's not going to swap anything, but I don't think we need to have games swap. I don't think, I was looking at Apex Legends when it came out to say like, oh, I'm going to trade this out with Fortnite. In fact, I never liked playing battle royales, Fortnite or PUBG at that time, until Apex Legends came out, and that introduced me to the battle royale genre, though it had been going on for years. So there are many people who have played Destiny 2, who have played Overwatch, who have played Paladins, who have played COD, who have played Valorant, but there's a lot of people who haven't. There's some people like me, who have not jumped into that yet. So maybe this is a game that helps to teach you a little bit of that. Or maybe this is a game that you and your friends can just relax and play without some of the stress of the more overly competitive high esport title games like Valorant or like Play Apex that, can be a difficult thing for someone who doesn't really know all the movement mechanics and is new. This game can have a lot of different purposes, and yes, it's different in many ways. No ultimates are in this game, so there aren't that kind of big, all right, let's group up and all use our ult moments like you see in Overwatch and traditional hero shooters. And what does that mean? It means that this feels unique, it feels a bit different, and I don't know where it's gonna land, but my advice, my tip is that use this for what it can give you. Does it introduce you to more round type tactical play with the rivalry mode and cargo run? Does it introduce you to, more just TDM style firefights with abilities that you're pretty much not used to because you only do that in a battle royale? Whatever this game provides for you, allow it to provide. And also don't worry about what other people are saying. I think we're in a weird space in gaming where a lot of times people are telling you whether you should like or not like something. And my point of view is it's pretty much always something you can gain from anything. So if that's the case, that's my final tip. I hope you guys are enjoying this one, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I will see you all next time.